Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today is Wednesday, June 22nd, and I am doing a cooking video today. I think I have this on my channel already, but if I don't, I'm doing it again. There's only one thing that's a little different this time, and I have the sofrito, which is a famous Puerto Rican sazon, but it's in powder. I normally make it by myself. It's with bell peppers, onions, the sazon packets by Goya, and some garlic and cilantro. And so I make it in the blender and I have it for like 3 more uses or so. But this time I didn't have any, so I did order these from Amazon, and it's the sofrito in packet. So I've tried it before and it does work. I just know it's not as good as my personal homemade sofrito. But hey, when you're in a bind, which is like now because I don't have any more of my homemade sofrito, at least I have something. And so it's the sofrito made in powder. It's in packets and it's by Compalor, Sabor a Campo, which is flavor from the farm. So we're going to put those in, and I'm going to tell you what I'm doing step by step. So right now I'm going to switch the camera so you can see the pot. Right now I have oil in the pot, and I put some chopped onions. So let me show you. So there's my onions. It's starting to burn a little bit. Not really. It's kind of getting golden brown to me. But you want to get it kind of before it turns too brown. This is okay. This is perfect. So I'm going to go ahead and put these 2 packets of sofrito in there. And I'll take you step by step. Hope my camera doesn't tip over, because if you put it a little bit too high, it tips over. So I'm going to put these 2 packets of the sofrito. Add it to my onions that have sauteed already. And I just kind of spread it all over, make sure I cover the whole pot. And then I give it a stir. And then I let the onions and the sofrito saute together, as you can see here. So the first thing you want to do is pick how much rice you're going to have. I normally, when I make arroz con gandules, I make 4 cups of water, which means I'm going to make 3 cups of rice. So whatever you have in rice, you add 1 more cup in water. So if it's 2 cups of rice, you're going to do 3 cups of water. If it's 1 cup of rice, 2 cups of water. So in this case, it's 3 cups of rice, 4 cups of water. So I have my 4 cups right here. This one right here is a 2 cups by itself. These are 1 cups each, so it equals 4. So then you put your oil to heat up, and once your oil is heat up, you take your chopped onions, however much you feel you want to put in there. I put enough to cover the pan, and so then you saute the onions, and once the onions start turning yellow, golden brown, then you add the sofrito, which is normally, I make it, like I said, homemade, and it's so much better to me. And you have a lot left over for more uses, and you put it in the refrigerator. You can actually put your sofrito in an ice cube tray, fill all the ice cube tray up, and then once it's done, you take those sofrito cubes and you put in a Ziploc bag and you put in your freezer. That way it'll last you much longer. But if you want to just do a mason jar of it, you could do that and put it in the refrigerator. It lasts up to a week for me, so I can make like arroz con gandules 2 to 3 more times, depending on the size of the mason jar and how much sofrito I make. Like I said, I was in a bind, so I happened to have ordered this like a month or so ago, this sofrito en polvo, because I wanted to try it in powder. So what it means is sofrito in powder. So sofrito is a famous Puerto Rican sazon, spice or seasoning, if you will, and it's really good. It's I think it's I don't have my homemade one, so it's hard to say, but I'll give you I'll tell you exactly what it has inside. Usually it's bell peppers, garlic, onion, and sazon packet, and cilantro. So those are the ingredients. That's how I make it homemade, and I'm imagining that's the same consistency of the powder, maybe something or so different in it, but it boils down to the same thing. So in this case, since I was in a bind and I didn't have my homemade sofrito, I used the packets, and I used 2 because I figured that would be equal to what I put in. Because usually when I make it homemade and it's from the blender, I put in, like, if I'm making 3 cups of rice, I put 3 big spoons, not big spoons, but they're like, see if I can find one. Nope, they're not in here. I'm trying to find the spoon that I'm talking about. So it'd be like this size spoon, or you can also do exact tablespoon, but when it comes to sofrito, I like to do these. So I do the same amounts of what I'm doing in rice. So if I do 3 cups of rice, I'm doing 3 of these spoons of the sofrito that I make homemade in the blender. In this case, it's packets, so I do 2 packets. So I let it saute. It's sauteing, as you can see there. So I'm going to go ahead and add it because the onions are getting more and more brown and you don't want that. So what you're going to do is you're going to add the water. So here's 1 cup going in. 2. And this is 2 within itself. So a total of 4 cups of water. And then you give that a stir just to get your onions and your sofrito mixed up really good. And then you're going to add, I take these tablespoons, and I use this one, which is a tablespoon, and I do 1 of salt. Sorry you can't see my face, but my camera will totally tip over if I even try to move it. So the important thing is you see what I'm doing. So I'll fill 1 of these up with salt, usually to the top. You can have a little mountain, that's okay. So then you put that in. So that's 1 tablespoon of salt. Then I put 1 tablespoon of chicken bouillon, which is right here. So it says caldo con sabor a pollo. So this would be like chicken broth is what it equals to, but it's in powder. So chicken flavor bouillon. It's by Knorr. So I get mine at Walmart, but I'm sure you can get it in any grocery store. So I do 1 of that, and I usually like to do a little more. I don't make it level on the thing, not too high either. Kind of like that. I let it go a little bit over. Maybe I'll do a little bit less. But it's actually, if you want to be safe and sound, make it just 1 tablespoon, even if it goes a little bit higher than even level. So I throw that in there. Then last thing that I add is the Sazon by Goya. These I always get in packets, so this is not different. This is what I use all the time. It's called Sazon. It's with culantro and achote. I don't know how to translate that, so don't ask me. But this is what you get. It's by Goya is the brand, and it's called Sazon, and it's the orange packet. Just make sure it says with culantro and achote. There's a yellow pack that's a little bit different. So then you're going to put 2 of these. This is what gives not only flavor, but it gives the color to the rice, because the arroz con gandules, the Puerto Rican rice, is like an orangey red rice. So this is what's going to give it color. A lot of Puerto Ricans will use tomato sauce, which is fine. There's a couple of different variations. It all kind of boils down to the same thing, but there are a little bit different variations depending on who's cooking it. Different Puerto Ricans do a different way. The basics is always the same. You always have to have the basics, that's the rule, but you can have a few different variations, like I said, whether you use sofrito powder, or whether you do it homemade like I do, or if you want to use, this is always the same, but instead of this, maybe you might want to use the tomato sauce. So, and then some people will put pork meat in it as well. I don't do my arroz con gandules with pork meat. I have done it, and if I'm in the mood for it, I will make it. But basically, when I make arroz con gandules on the normal rounds, I make it exactly like I'm showing you here, with the only difference that the sofrito is homemade and not the powder, but everything else is the same. Then we're gonna let that boil. I give it a good stir to make sure all the seasonings and the onions and the water and the oil, everything is mixed really well. So I got a couple of rounds to the right, a couple of rounds to the left. I have OCD, so that's more so OCD thing, but it also is to keep it really mixed in and blend it well. So it does have a reason. So when the water starts to boil, I usually have it on like 6 to 7, the number 6 or 7 if you have numbers on your stove, to get it boiling. Once it starts boiling, I bring it down to number 5, which is like medium heat on your stove. And then I add your rice, and then I add the gandules. Gandules is pigeon peas. So you see it here, green pigeon peas. In Spanish, it's called gandules verdes, which is green peas. And it's made by the brand Goya, as well as the Sazon is Goya. I tore it up now, but it's also by Goya. You can see it right, oh my God, right there. Goya is the brand. So the Gandurles also comes in the brand Goya. I'm imagining you can find other brands as well, but I've only known Goya. And it's hard to find Puerto Rican food as it is where I'm from. I'm in Northern California. You can really only find Puerto Rican food in the Bay Area or in the East Coast. So I'm lucky to find what I can. And then whenever I make trips to the Bay Area, which is where I'm from, I try to stash up on what I can. But yeah, so when the water starts boiling, again, I have it on 6 or 7 just to give it a faster head start. Once the water boils, then I'm going to bring it down to 5, which would equal medium heat. And then I'm going to add the rice, the 3 cups of rice, which I have in here. 3 cups of rice, I already measured it. And then I'm going to add 1 can of the pigeon peas, which in Spanish again is Gandurles. So these are not like regular peas. These are different than your regular peas. It has to be Gandurles. So I buy this again at Walmart, but I'm imagining you could buy it in any grocery store pretty much. But for sure at Walmart. So if you don't want to be guessing and be going from store to store, you can definitely get it at Walmart. It's in the aisle where it has like a whole Hispanic section of seasonings and beans and different little stuff like that. It has like its own aisle. In our Walmart, it's right across from the pharmacy, so it just depends on your store, but that's what it is in ours. So yeah, so once it starts boiling, I'm going to put the 3 cups of rice and the 1 can of Gandurles. There's water in these Gandurles. I go ahead and put that whole water in there as well. I do not drain it. So that's going to be the next step. Once you put that in, then let me see if I can put my phone up. Once you put that in, then and you give it a good stir, then you put you keep it on 5 on medium heat, and then you wait till it evaporates. Once all the water is evaporated, then you come in and you give it a good stir, because that's the only time you're going to be able to stir. One of the things that messes up rice or making a good rice is people keep stirring it and stirring it. That's like a big no-no when you make rice. Big no-no, whether it's Puerto Rican rice, American rice, whatever. If you want sticky rice, then keep stirring it. And sometimes you need sticky rice. There's certain recipes that require sticky rice, kind of like what is it? Oh my god, I went blank. Sushi. Sushi requires sticky rice. So that's when you want to stir it and make sure it's really sticky. It works. But for regular rice, whether it's American, Puerto Rican, Mexican, you do not want to stir the rice. You want to only stir the seasonings and when you're sauteing the onions and the sofrito. And then when you add the other seasonings, you want to, once that's sauteed and you put in the other seasonings, then feel free to give it a good stir. But once the rice is in, you give it a good couple of stirs. I stir it 3 times to the right, 3 times to the left. It's an OCD thing, but it just makes me feel like it's really good. And then I kind of flip it over back and forth to make sure that the Gandurles and the rice is mixed really well. After that, you don't want to touch it. You wait till it evaporates. Once it evaporates, then you have one more chance to stir it. So you go ahead and stir it and get it all from the bottom of the pan. Stir it on each corner of the pot, and then you kind of form, like my mother used to call a montaña, which is a mountain. And then I put foil. You can just put your top to your pot, which is what I used to do, but now I add foil because it just makes the rice so much better. Adding the foil, that trick my husband kind of taught me. It's really weird because he's Mexican. So I add a piece of foil to cover, and then I put the top on top, and then I set it for 25 minutes, but then I bring it down once it evaporates, and I stir it, and I put the top and the foil on. You want to bring it down to 3. So if you have it on 5, you want to bring it down to 3. If you started it on 4, you want to bring it down to 2. So 2 notches from what you had it. Sometimes, depending on my pot, if I don't have a really good pot that I can trust, I might start with 4 and then bring it down to 2 because I don't want it to burn or stick to the bottom. But if you have a real good pot, or if you have what the Puerto Ricans call those old-fashioned good carderos, they're like iron pots that you don't mess up, then you can trust it on 5. But I tend to make it on 5. I think there's just one pot that I don't trust, that I put it on 4 and then go down to 2 once it starts to evaporate, and then I put it for 25 minutes, and then once the timer beeps, then I come in with a not a pitchfork, but you know, this kind of fork. Is it called a pitchfork? We call these forks, these big old ones. Then I come in and I stir it around and I toss it to loosen the rice, and then I taste it, and then that's when I know. You can also taste it when it's boiling. You can also taste to see if your seasoning is right. But if you follow this, you should be pretty good. But you know, always seasonings and especially salt is to taste. So it's up to you. But because I've been doing it for so long, I already know that these measurements work. And so it's starting to boil now. Let me show you. Can you see that? It's starting to boil. So once it's completely boiling, not just starting, I'm going to add my rice and I'm going to add my gandules. I have a sciatica nerve situation, as you probably heard me talk about in a lot of my videos. So that's why I'm sitting down. I have a walker that has a chair. I don't know if you can see though. Let's see. My walker has a chair. I don't know if you can see that. Anyway, so it helps me when I'm in the kitchen. I want to cook something, so it takes pressure off of my leg, my left leg, which is where my sciatica nerve is damaged at. Let me wash my hands as well, because I had just kind of wiped my nose a little bit. So you want to make sure your hands are washed before you start cooking anything, and during cooking if you have touched your nose or your face or anything. So you definitely want to stay sanitized and clean. So just a minute. So it's starting to get a good boil there. But yeah, so I believe I made arroz con gandules before, actually, like maybe 3 or so years ago, and so I don't even remember how I made it back then. I think it was pretty much similar to this, maybe a bit different, because like I said, the same basics are the same basics. You don't deviate from those basics, but there are a few variations that you can add or take away. In this case, which might be the meat, I don't do it with the meat unless I'm doing like a specific occasion and I want to have that pork meat flavored in it. And in this case, I had to use powder sofrito versus, I can't even talk, my regular sofrito that I mix up in the blender, which again consists of bell peppers, 2 green bell peppers, 1 onion, like 7 pieces of garlic, a whole bushel of cilantro, and I'll put 1 of these sazon packets in there as well. Put a little bit of oil, and then I blend it. And then I'm able usually to smell a small mason jar or a medium-sized mason jar. And then, like I said, you can put that into an ice cube tray. And then once the ice cubes are done, put them in a Ziploc bag, put in the freezer, and it'll last you a lot longer if you don't make rice often. We tend to make rice often. So I think it's a good boil. Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and put the rice. Let me show you the boil that makes me happy is right there when I see those big bubbles. So I'm going to try to bring the phone down again. Oh, there we go. We got a good look there. So I'm going to put the rice in. This is 3 cups of rice. I have 4 cups of water here, as you saw me pour. And then in this thing, in this red thing, is 3 cups of rice. So I'm going to pour all my rice in there, make sure all of it gets in there. And then I give the rice a good stir before I put in the gandules. So like 3 times to the right, 3 times to the left. And then I put my gandules in there. Oh my God, these cans, they scare me. I totally cut my hand one day when I worked for Bank of America years ago. These kind of lifts. I'd rather the can opener one. This is very dangerous, but this is what they came in. So I pour the whole can in there of gandules. Make sure I got every, so I'm stirring. So I'm gonna go 3 times to the left. That's number 3. Then I'm gonna switch over and go 3 times to the right. You don't have to do that. That's a big part of it, is my OCD and what makes me feel comfortable. Just give it a few stirs. If you want to do counts, go ahead. So I kind of go back a little bit and then go back to the right. Then I like to do what I call flip. So I kind of flip and get those pigeon peas, those gandules mixed in really good with the rice. So that's about it. So now is the time that I bring it down. Actually, I leave it on 5. And then when it's time to evaporate, well, actually it's time to evaporate now. I'm going blank for some strange reason. So, I'm leaving it on 5, actually. When it starts to evaporate, then you want to bring it down to 3 when you're getting ready to cover. So once it evaporates, let me make sure I'm saying this right, because I'm kind of going blank. Okay, and I do this all the time. This is it. I keep it on 5, is which the number you start. Again, I started on 6 or 7 just to get the boil going. Once it's boiled, I brought it down to 5, which is medium heat. Then you keep it on there until it evaporates. Once it evaporates and you're ready to put your foil or just your top or both, then you want to bring it down two digits down, which if it's 5, we're going to bring it down to 3, and then you put it on for 25 minutes. So we're going to come back when it's evaporated. So it looks like that now. It stopped boiling because I put the rice and the gandules in. So when it's done and it's evaporated, I'll come back and show you what it looks like and how I toss it and then make it into a mountain and then cover it and all that good stuff. Okay, so this is what I mean by evaporated. See, all the water, even on the edges, is gone. Let me try to get you as close as we can. So it's completely evaporated. So now it's time for me to take a spoon, actually. I like my wooden spoon. Metal spoons are good too. I just favor this one. So you take it and you flip it over like that. And you get every space, every corner. You do that. And if you can't turn anymore that way, you start to go the other way. The point is that you get every spot turned. Then you start forming your mountain. So instead of it being like, you know, like something like that, where it's even and all next to the corners or all against the wall of the pot, no, you keep it. You get it away from the edges of the pot and you kind of form your little mountain. It doesn't have to be a neat mountain. So it's like that. Then you're going to put foil in. You know, you can just put a top to your pot. If you have the matching top to your pot, which I do, and you have a good pot, you don't really need to do the foil part. It's just, I like this trick that my husband taught me because it just kind of simmers in the rice a little bit better to me. It cooks it a little bit better to me. But that could just be me. It's not one of the rules or how you basically do it. So if you just want to put your top on top of it, as long as your top fits that pot and it's fitted completely, it's not a top that's too big for the pot or too small for the pot, or you can kind of see in between the pot and the top. If that pot is perfectly a match to your pot, then you could do it with just the top. This is just something I like to do because I just saw the difference for me. But if you don't have foil, have no worry. Just put your top on. So I put it like that and I kind of just pinch it all around the edges of the pot to make sure it's closed in and no air is really coming out. Then once I do that, I take the top and I just put it on top. This normally you can close it over here, but it fits perfectly just by laying it on top. So then once I got that on top, then I put my timer, which my timer is over here. It's gonna be this one right here. So right here. So now I'm gonna bring it down to 3. In the midway, I tell you, this pot is the one that actually can burn rice if you're not careful, even though I love this pot and it's a good pot. For some reason, sometimes it works good with 5 and then down to 3, and sometimes it works good at 4 and then down to 2. So midway, I kind of moved it closer to the 4. So now I'm going to go between the 2 and the 3. So that's little dot there. So the rule is, if you're doing 5, go down to 3. If you're doing 4, go down to 2. But don't deviate from those numbers or that heat. So it's no 3-2 or no 6 4, it's 5 to 3 or 4 to 2. So in this case, because I moved it closer to the 4 midway, I'm not going to do it exactly on 2, but I'm going to do it between the 2 and 3. So, and I could do it 3 if I wanted to. So, you know, it's just little, see, there's the little variations that I'm talking about. As you get to cook it and you get to know it and know how to cook it, you get to kind of like, you know, do what works for you and according to what pot you have, because the pot does make the difference. So now we're going to put the timer. I'm going to bring you back over here so you can see me put the timer. So that's my timer. I'm putting it for 25 minutes. 4, 5. So it's 25 minutes. I don't know if you guys could see that. So where is it? There's 25 minutes. And then I'm going to push start. And then we're going to come back. When my beeper goes off, here I am. When my beeper goes off, or my timer goes off, my beeper, I'm going to come back and show you what it looks like, and me putting my little pitchfork in there and then tossing it around, and then I'm going to do the taste test, and then we're gonna let you know how it all came out. So just keep watching. Okay, it's beeping. You hear it? Okay, so I'm gonna turn my timer off and I'm gonna stir it up and let's see how it goes. Let me bring you down. My God, it looks so good. It smells good. Let me get you closer. Look at that. Look at that look. So now, hopefully my phone won't spin out. So there's my pitchfork. So I kind of just go down to the ground, down to the bottom of the pot and kind of just pick at it. I do that in different spots all the way around the pot. Make sure I get all of it. And then kind of do it on the top. Then we're ready for the taste test. There it goes. Look at that. So let me bring the camera up. Oh my God. I'm going to get the spoon that hasn't been used because I don't want to dip the same fork in that I just put in my mouth. So I want to get another little taste test. Look at that. You can see the smoke. Perfect, perfect, perfect. Came out perfect, perfect. Look at that rice. Look at that rice. You are the bomb.com. Oh my God, I wish you guys could taste it one of these days. Maybe when I'm gone, technology is going to be able to let people smell through the video or taste through the video. Who knows? But that's like a whole pot of rice. Look at that pot. Well, that's like a whole pot. So it's 9:52 at night. So I wanted to make it a little later than I usually do because I had thought about it. I thought, oh my God, let me make some arroz con gandules, and that way my husband could take some with the wings that he has. I ordered him a 10-piece of wing set from Wingstop. I love Wingstop. So I ordered a 10-piece for me and a 10-piece for him. So that's what he's going to take to lunch. And I'm like, he can't just take wings. I guess he could have took them with tortillas, but I like him to have like a full thing, like everything that accompanies with what you're eating. Let me turn the stove off by the chance. I moved it over in case I ever forget to turn the stove off. It's over on another side, but I remembered both this time. But yeah, so hold on. So anyway, I was watching YouTube videos, and on one of my videos, a song started playing, so I don't want to be copyrighted for something like that. If I'm going to usually put a music to my video, I'll make sure I'll put the message, I do not own the rights to this music. In this case, I don't make money off of my videos, and I give credit to the singer and the song. But if it's something that I'm not even going to be adding to my video, you just hear it in the background, I don't want to be copyrighted because of that. So I went and paused it. But yeah, so I moved my pot over because sometimes I've forgotten to turn the stove off, even though it's on low. I forgot to turn the stove off. So in this case, I kind of move it over just in case I do forget. I'm good. But in this case, I remember to turn it off as well. But anyway, yeah, so that's what I like. When my husband takes lunch, I like him to take like a full meal, a full lunch. He could get by with just the wings and tortilla, and I'm sure he would be happy. But I don't like it. I like him to have something to go with the wings. And if he wants to take a tortilla with him as well, or one of these, sometimes he'll take one of these round buns. We get them really fresh. He can take that or tortilla, whatever he chooses. But I always like him to have either rice or some mashed potatoes, depending on what goes with what type of meat. In this case, he has the wings, like I said, so rice really goes well with that. And yeah, so now he has it. So what I usually do is I cover it. I go ahead and cover it. I don't press it and seal it all the way around, but I lightly press the foil on top of the pot. Let me see if you can see that. Kind of like that, just lay it on top so nothing gets in it, God forbid. Something drops, or you know, now there's been a lot of flies going around because when people go in and out the door and stuff. So just in case, and plus it keeps it nice and fresh and soft. So he'll have a good lunch to take in the morning. He gets up at 4:30 in the morning, and so he'll have a good lunch to take. And then I'm gonna eat some right now. with one of my pasteles. Pasteles is a huge, famous, traditional Puerto Rican food. It's made with pork meat and masa and stuff like that. So I have one left from the Puerto Rican festival. So I'm going to serve myself with some rice and that last pastele. And then I'm going to be good with my black cherry cranberry juice. And then a little bit later, I'll have a little dessert. And then I'll shower and go to bed. So that is how I make my arroz con gandules. Like I said, I'm sure I have a previous video up. I don't know if I did it a little bit different then or what, but you can compare both. But this is like the updated. I'll probably do another one showing you when I make my homemade sofrito and not use the powder packet, the difference in that. I feel like the taste is a little bit better, even though this is super, super, super good, and I don't regret it at all. I like that sofrito packet. I love that I have it. But of course, you're always just loyal to what you make homemade. And so I feel like it just gives it that kick and stuff. So yeah. So that is arroz con gandules, Puerto Rican rice. Rice with pigeon peas, if you will. One of our famous, typical, traditional foods. And so I hope you enjoy this. Try it. Let me know in the comment section how it came out and what you thought about it. All that good stuff. Like I said, the ingredients, all of them you can get at Walmart. So yeah, so that's it for this video. Thank you so much for watching this cooking video. I'm going to try to do more. You know, my channel is about everything. It's about beauty, family blogging, lifestyle blogging, some cleanup, some remodeling, revamping, hauls, a lot of hauls. And so, and I have some cooking videos. I don't do them often at all, but I want to get into doing them more and more, especially with Puerto Rican food. So I do it all on this channel. So thank you so much for watching. Make sure you subscribe if you haven't already. Make sure you hit that notification bell because that gives you heads up on every time I upload a video. Like, comment, share, all that good stuff. So until my next video, stay safe and take care. Bye-bye.